Today, we'll be looking at everything you need to know about stockpiling canned foods. Every serious prepper knows that canned food is one of the most valuable ways to ensure your survival. It's cheap, nutritious, lasts for years on end, and it's convenient. No matter where you are in the world, canned food is going to be available to everyone for the least amount of money. Having a well-rounded stockpile of canned foods can mean the difference between thriving and toiling away from starvation and worry for you and your household. Get started now. With the way inflation's going, even canned foods might not be affordable tomorrow. But first, there are some things you should know. The sell-by date is printed for quality and taste, not for freshness. After that date goes by, the food might get bland and lose its texture, but it's still perfectly safe to eat. Highly acidic foods like fruits and ready-to-eat meals that are combined with many ingredients to add flavor, like canned chili, have a slightly shorter shelf life than the non-acidic foods that are canned plain and with as little additional additives as possible. For instance, tuna, corned beef, and such. Now, if everything is stored correctly, there's no rust on the cans, and they're still airtight, then the high acidic foods can safely last 2 to 3 years. Low acidic foods can last 3 to 5 years. Keep in mind, we're talking about the bare minimum here. Most of them will last a year or two longer, and you're not limited to aluminum cans either. At-home canning has the same lifespan. As long as they're airtight and the job was done right, there's no difference between the two. You have a lot of legroom with the temperature. As long as it's not boiling hot and it doesn't get low enough to freeze, you should be fine. Try to keep it around the 85-degree range. If the area is cool, dry, and dark, you'll be extending that shelf life as much as possible. Regularly check your cans for rust or signs of mold beneath them, and to keep a rotating schedule in place. Eat what's oldest and place new cans at the back. There are very cool racks out there designed to make this as simple as possible for you, but you don't need to spend money on them. Neatly stacked on a dry surface or on a shelf you made yourself, it's all about staying organized. Any can that has a bulging lid needs to be thrown in the garbage ASAP. That's a sign of bacteria buildup and it's no longer safe to eat. So what exactly should you be stocking up on? Well, there are 5 categories: grains, meats, fruits, vegetables, and lastly beans and legumes. We'll skip the grains for this round. It's not that they can't be canned, there's just no need to. All of the grain sorts will last much longer if they aren't cooked and stored in airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags. Meats. Starting with one of the 2 most nutritionally dense foods to can, meats. There are a lot of options here. Chicken, corned beef, tuna, sardines, spam, turkey. They hold up the longest out of all the categories. Even though you should get just as much variation as you have room to store, we highly advise you to get fish, even if it's not your favorite thing in the world. Fish will be the highest in omega fatty acids and micronutrients. Most fish is preserved in oil, giving you a whole lot of valuable energy that you won't get from most other canned foods. The simpler it's preserved, the longer it'll last. But that doesn't mean you can't have fun with some more tasty options like a full meal of beef stew or meaty chili. It'll still last a good 3 years on the shelf, so it's still very valuable to you. For every 100 grams, fish will have the least amount of energy at 180 calories. Corned beef has the most at 250 calories, depending on the quality of the product. And you can add another 100 calories if it's preserved in oil. Beans and legumes. Beans and legumes will be the second highest nutritionally dense food you can have. When dried, they don't need to be canned, it lasts longer, they take up less space, and it's lighter. So you should have some vacuum sealed for a quick getaway anyway. But the canned options are just so dang delicious, and the ready-to-eat meals usually come with meat and vegetables included in the can too. So you'll get more nutritional variation per serving. Lentils, black beans, and kidney beans have the most protein, minerals, and vitamins of all the bean and legume options. So get those if you have the choice. Beans combined with rice is a nearly complete meal, and you can live off it and nothing else for quite a few months and still be completely healthy. And since you made it to this point in the video, you might as well take a second to like and subscribe. And if you feel up to it, drop us a comment below if you have any topics you're curious about. We will make sure that we cover it in the near future. There's nothing we appreciate more than your engagement. And now, back to the video. Vegetables. For vegetables, the world is your oyster. The root veg, like carrots, beets, yams, and potatoes, will have the most minerals and varied ways with which to preserve them. They can be canned as is, pickled, or combined and stewed. Here we actually advise you to can vegetables at home. Invest in the canner and the mason jars. You won't regret it. Seriously, Eating something that is geared toward your own personal preference is going to change the game for you completely. Vinegar and sugar, the base ingredients for most canning ventures, store longer than chemical preservatives do. Remember, vinegar and honey have been dug up under Egypt's pyramids and were still edible after 1,000 years underground. Then obviously there's the green beans, corn, peas, and whatever else is on sale. It'll all give you much needed fiber, carbohydrates, and minerals. Fruit. But you're still short on vitamin and sugar-rich foods. That's where fruits come in. Anything that's got tomatoes as a base is going to be high in sugar. Canned salsa, even if it doesn't taste sweet, is still preserved with heaps of cane sugar. The other fruit, canned peaches, pineapple, and the like, are prepared with sugary syrups, but they hold on to a lot of their natural fructose too. If you want to have as much actual fruit in the can as possible, go for the cranberry sauce, applesauce, fruit puree, and pie filling. This is essentially a bunch of fruits and vegetables put through a blender, and the can is filled to the brim with pure puree. A 14-ounce can of cranberry sauce can hold 250 liquidized cranberries. That's a whole lot of iron and vitamin-rich berries in a single can. Food for thought. Besides getting a good system going where you actively eat your stockpile so that you can replace it with fresh stock, there are a few things to consider outside of just proper storage. Canned foods come in all shapes and sizes, and even the junk foods that are nutritionally devoid of a drop of vitamins have some value to you, be it just for the calories or for the comfort. One of the best ways to raise your spirits is to have a nostalgic can of SpaghettiOs or condensed milk. Then here's how to buy it. Stocking up a whole garage overnight is going to cost you a fortune. Take your time to hunt for discounts and factory rejects. A lot of canned food goes on sale because a label was printed wrong or a can got dented during shipping. There's nothing wrong with it except that it doesn't look shelf pretty. Also, get into couponing. It'll give you massive discounts on canned goods and condiments. And speaking of which, condiments go hand in hand with canned foods. Sauces like ketchup, chili, relishes, and barbecue sauce can last for 2 whole years right next to your cans. They're made with the same base of vinegar and sugar like most canned goods are, so the shelf life is about the same. Even a product like peanut butter is good for years. And just because the simplest items store longer doesn't mean you shouldn't get the mixed, ready-to-eat stuff. Food is food. There will be nutrients in it, and it'll taste better. And remember, disaster can strike at any time. Why should you be caught with no supplies when something as affordable and well-rounded as canned foods are available to you? Cans are the first thing that's going to get looted off the shelves when things go sideways. But if you play your cards right, you'll already have a shelf worthy of your local Walmart. This is Threat to Survival. Prepare today. Thrive tomorrow. Embrace the threat to survival.